how are you doing? I mean, obviously the guys have been seeming to rally to the ball and doing a lot with containment, I guess.
Yeah.
How you guys have been playing versus the quarterback that you get to go against this week? How imperative to keep that ball?
Yeah, sure. Certainly he presents a unique challenge. As every quarterback does. Every quarterback is their own individual, and every week we go in with an individualized pass rush plan for that quarterback. We'll have a plan this week too. But the guys are really embracing that, right? And we talk to them. We've been saying this since day one of hey, we don't rush one-on-one pass rush. We rush 3 as 1, 4 as 1, 5 as 1, 6 as 1, right? Based on the pressures. But of those guys all working holistically in that pass rush. And that's no different, again, whether you're playing Ben Roethlisberger or you're playing Kyler Murray, right? You still have an individualized plan, but those guys have to have what that plan is to pass rush together.
Does having Fancher under your belt, I mean, there's similarities between those two guys?
There's certainly some things you can take from that, you can learn from that, and be able to say, hey, we did this well against him, or we've got to do this better against him. That's certainly a great comparison, a great, reference point for our players of some of the similarities of who that player was to who, Thomas is for those guys.
You mentioned Kyler Murray. You got a 5'9" quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Does that affect anything in terms of jumping, try to deflect passes, or the way you approach that?
Yeah, that's something we're always talking to those guys. Again, in that holistic approach of pass rushing together, of how are we going to squeeze and collapse the pocket, right? And the vertical pushes and the outside collapses. And again, that's no different any week. But what are the tools that we're using to do that? I've actually had the unfortunate experience of coaching against Kyler Murray when he was at Oklahoma one time, and man, that guy could cut some angles that I thought we had a great. No, you didn't. So he's certainly a unique one. But yeah, there's definitely some comparisons in that, and I've actually referenced that this week a little bit, even from when I had coached against Kyler, and you see some similarities to this guy. So, yeah, but we're always thinking about, how can we condense pockets? How can we mirror throwing hands? Again, whether the guy's 6'5" or the guy's 5'9", how do I continue in a series of efforts to rush the passer? What's my conversions? What are my, counter moves, right? And sometimes those are powers and mirrors. So, but again, Ben Roethlisberger or Kyler Murray, right? You still have to think that way.
Joe came in, his priorities were to stop the run,
Yeah.
Create turnovers, eliminate explosive plays. You guys seem to have done that pretty well these first few games. Are you surprised at how quickly kind of this defense has kind of gravitated towards, achieving some of those floors, I guess?
No, I don't think so. And the reason I say that is because of the young men that we have. We've got good young men. They've been eager. They've been bought on since day one that we arrived on campus, and laying out that philosophy. That's part of our, right? We have an identity of what we want people to say when they watch our film. Man, those guys play really, really hard, right? They play with great technique, right? And they are tough. They are physical, right? And then they do all of that with, again, an extreme level of detail. Right, so it's kind of a defensive identity, but then there is that philosophy that you reference of stopping the run, create takeaways, and eliminate explosive plays. Right, so and that's going to carry over again every week. Right, whether you're playing a 4 open Tennessee, right? Hey, you still have to stop the run. How are we going to stop the run? Right, even against those 4 opens, wide split Tennessees, right, or the school down the road, and they get in 13 personnel, and they're going to get big bodies and tight ends. You still have to stop the run. All right, and then we've got to go find a way to take possessions away. Again, whether it's Tennessee that wants 16 possessions a game or Boston College that wants to play with 9 possessions a game. We have to create some takeaways to take those possessions away, right? And then you got to make people earn it, right? Eliminating those explosive plays, make people earn and drive the field, right? And how do you do that? With, right, the technique, with the toughness, with that detail, with that effort, right? You make people continually earn that the effort. Okay, guy misses a play, misses a tackle. Well, there's 9 other guys swarming to the ball to erase that mistake. And that plan is going to hold true. Again, how do we implement it week to week? Sure, right? That's unique to those opponents. But that holistic philosophy, how are we trying to apply that? That never changes for us.
There's a good baseline with that, though, is routing to the ball.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
It's one of the things we practice every day, right? Even how we go through practice, we have in certain periods a way that we're going to make them do it. I used to work for a guy, right? Players do what you make them do. They do not do what you do not make them do, right? And so, all right, what do we have to do to make them swarm? And again, it goes back to we've got good young men that have been bought into that, and there's been no pushback from those guys whatsoever since day one.
Is there any better compliment than having another coach saying that this is a really physical team that they have to prepare for?
That's exactly what we want people to say. That's exactly right. Again, it goes back, we talk about that identity being the effort. We have a unique word we describe that as, right, within the program. But that effort, that toughness, that technique, that detail, that's the identity we want to pop off the film when other people watch it. Like, man, those guys play really, really hard. They play really, really tough, right? And they play with phenomenal technique.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Well,
No.
through 3 games, is there anybody, I don't think surprise may be the right word, but who's really stood out as far as, your position on the rush end and bring it to the game?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say there's been any surprises. Chris has played the way we anticipated him playing. Reference him a bunch. It's just his process, his professionalism, has a great approach to his work. And that's in his film study on his own. That's in his film study in our meeting room. That's in his practice habits, that he has just been bought in. And that, again, goes back to, right, if you can play with great technique and you can play with great detail and you can do it playing really hard and really physical, guess what? You're probably going to be in a good position to make some plays. And every once in a while, you're in position to make plays that aren't your play to make. And we see Chris, doing that. But when you look at Anthony Jones and what he has done, right, and then again some of those other guys that are continuing to progress and get back in the mix, and we're expecting them to get back in the mix here pretty soon. You see them just continually be a guy on the rise. That Mike Tomlin quote that was floating around, I literally just talked to the guys about that as we broke practice today. That quote that was going around from last year: continue to be a person on the rise. And that's what, the challenge for, yes, the rush ins, the specialists, the defensive unit, the team, continue to just be a guy on the rise, be a team on the rise. And if we can do that, right, we're going to continue to see this thing moving forward and upward.
Chad, physicality has been a word we've heard a lot this week on both sides.
For sure.
How are you challenging your room and your guys specifically just about what they're going to face?
I think this is going to be the best tight end room that we have played against. Their tight ends are physical. They want to block at the point of attack. They've got good pad level. They do a good job driving their feet through contact and continue with that. Again, that series of efforts that we talk about, you see that show up for them. And then you see the same thing from their offensive tackles. So it is going to be a physical game. When you look at how we play offensively, how they play offensively, it's not going to be one of those 16 possession games for each side, right? It's going to be 8-9 possessions.
You had a sense throughout the defense that they were like, hey, we're physical too, let's go show them.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Hey, this one's going to be won down there in the trenches, and the team that controls it both sides of the ball the best, you're going to put yourself in the best position, whatever time, 11:30, midnight, out there in Boston when this thing rings up, that you're going to be the team celebrating in your locker room.
Obviously, you saw Jones last year at IU. What ways has he grown since he's come into the program?
Yeah, I think he's in a situation where he can really focus on some fundamental technique things. He was doing multiple things for us, which is a compliment to his skill set, but also still as a somewhat young player to now focus in on, these are my jobs, these are my roles, these are my, again, playing with that technique, playing with that detail, right? Taking maybe a little bit off of his plate, so now he can go focus and playing with technique, detail at that, and we're still challenging him to do that. But I think that's where I see him growing, is in just some of the attention to detail that we want out of all of our players, but especially a young player like Anthony that has talent and ability to, let's take the details now and take that effort, take that toughness, take that technique with great detail. Man, this thing really multiplies.
And then having the luxury of him and Bogle, I know Bogle's get about 40 snaps a game, but
Yeah.
you can just kind of cut it loose.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly where we wanted to be, right? And we told both of those guys coming out of fall camp, hey, as this thing stacks out, I want to be about 60 to 40, 60%, 40%, right, of the total plays in the game, and that's about where we've been. I think the first play, the first game against FAU, I came out of it saying I wanted Anthony a little more and Chris a little less. I think they were like 46 and 26 plays. I wanted to get about 6 and right off and 6 more, which would have put them 40 and 32ish. But that's about where I want to be with those guys, right? Is in that 40 to 30 range for each of them.
You guys have had some success early on this season, and looking ahead at, I know it's one game at a time, but because of a doozy of a stretch of the
Sure.
schedule, how important is it to just set a tone in this game before you move forward to Big Ten play?
Yeah, obviously that Big Ten play is always looming, but this is a quality opponent that is going to require our best. And again, to be that person on the rise, well, how do you have to do it? You got to approach this one like it's the biggest one, because it is the biggest one, because it's the next one. And we'll attack this one, go attempt to be our best this week, take that information, learn from it, respond, go grow, whatever we need to do. We talk to those guys all the time on Sundays. Sundays, just grow and improve, right? Whatever the results were, let's grow and improve, right? And we'll try to have that approach to them. Again, win or loss, that same approach. Okay, what do we need to get better at? What do we need to fix? What did we do well? Right, we did this well. Let's continue to stack on that, right? And that's how we get ready for those next ones coming up, is go attack this one with all we have. We'll look at it on Sunday. Where do we need to go improve? And then a week and a half, that Sunday after that one, where do we need to grow and improve to get ready for the next one? So that's just that continual process of attacking that.
Going back to FAU and Maryland, obviously you guys kind of, held the line, I guess, basically at the
Yeah.
end of those games, and maybe Maryland didn't score after the 14-minute mark of the fourth quarter. You guys had 3 straight turnovers undone against FAU. I mean, how much is it for this defense to seeing is believing? I mean, to see what they were able to do in those kind of critical moments.
Yeah, Coach said this to the team a couple weeks ago. Coach Smith did, and I've said this for the longest time as well. Confidence comes from demonstrated performance. Right? You want to gain confidence, right? Real confidence comes from demonstrated performance, right? Well, where does that begin? Yeah, it begins in the games. No, it begins in your preparation. What are you doing in your preparation, right, to get the confidence you need to go perform, right? That preparation is what creates that belief, that confidence. And I think our guys have done a great job in the preparation process to put them in position at the end of the games that we're going to go find a way to get it done. And they have a great belief in that, but again, it goes back to their preparation.
What does it say when you have a team that's confident? They don't have the distraction of a loss going into one of the better opponents. Does it help when that confidence level is high right now because they've seen success so far?
Yeah, I think it helps, but you always still want them to continue to stay humble, which goes back to the Sunday question. What do we need to do to get better? What do we need to improve so we continue to push forward, continue to grow? So you know that there's never a point where you have arrived. I know that's cliche. Well, cliches become cliches for a reason. Why? Because they hold true, right? That's why they become that. Somebody said it and realized there's truth behind that statement, right? But we have never arrived, and that's the way we try to approach it on those Sundays, is in that process, continual growth, continual improvement, so that the next one, I'm better than the last time. And then in 2 weeks, I'm better than the one prior to that. So that's really the mindset and the focus for our guys, is just keep building that confidence and that belief through the preparation, through the demonstrated performance, and then, hey, we'll get better at what things we need to get better at, right? That way we still stay humble and hungry, right? But also with a little belief in yourself of what you can do, and we have seen some evidence of that from the guys and the team.
Ken Talley on that third down package.
Sure.
I guess, what has he shown and kind of brought to the equation there? Is he working outside of you, or is he working?
He's working more, Coach Lingy inside, but, really and I was actually thinking about this last night, and I was going to say something to Coach Lingy today, but he has done a phenomenal job of all of that group, because there's a lot of very playable bodies, which was one of the things we said coming into the season, right, was going to be one of our strengths, just the depth, right, of playable bodies and finding roles, and roles for them to embrace. And it goes back to the question of Anthony Jones, right, for Quintale. Yeah, we're just playing base downs, but he's also playing on our third down package. Now, to be able to go attack the details of that so they can perform and execute at a high level, right? And when you can focus it, again, Ken's playing on the base down stuff for us as well. But I think Coach Lingy has done an outstanding job of just helping create roles and jobs for guys to keep all of them engaged, right, to help. At the end of the day, as Coach Smith says all the time, the star of the team is the team. What's my job? What's my role? Whether it's scout team, whether it's third down, whether it's base down, whether it's, hey, field goal block. Like Raquan Buckley has bought in that he is bought in on field goal block. That's one of his roles and jobs on the team, right? So more guys can do that, right? The confidence, the growth of the team, because they're all in it for the team.
He almost brings a speed rush.
Oh, 100% inside. He creates matchup problems for guys inside. Yeah, he creates matchup problems for those guys inside, no doubt about it.